computer. Thank you so much for watching. I am so delighted to talk to you tonight. Today is actually November 12th, and I would just love to shine a little bit light on you, Veronica, as my guest. And also, since we just started the school, it's a great opportunity to talk a little bit about that at the end. But first of all, I'd love to ask you some questions. And of course, if you have any questions, Veronica, you can ask me too. But we are talking tonight about your path and the path of Ayurveda. I would love to ask you, what is before your story, what is the dinacharya that you have that you love to do either regularly or daily? It's something that's really helping you and supporting you.
I will answer that. But first, I want to thank you so much for the invitation. And I want to thank you so much for the biggest invitation of asking me to teach at your school. I think that's an honor. I'm so very grateful for that. I cannot wait to start to work with you and your team. So thank you so much.
I'm delighted.
And what is my best in Acharya? Well, I like to get up when it's really early. So I'm by myself and I can hear the birds and, and see nature. And I first like to make contact with myself, with my heart, and then think, if there's a God or, a supreme energy that I'm alive, and think to myself that it's going to be a good day. Today is going to be a good day. And I'm going to do good things, for others and to myself. Then I like to go into the living room and see outside. Even if it's dark, I know there's a sun somewhere and, greet it. And I start my day with a tongue scraping. Then I get some warm water with some lemon. I do a Abhyanga. This is the Ayurvedic massage. So as a ritual, because I like to see life as a ritual. So everything, what I've learned in Ayurveda is that you do with a ritual, and that makes it inspiring. That makes it beautiful. So I'll warm up some oil, and I have some, of course, I turn on some incense because it's my little ritual, and I like to oil myself up. And then I imagine softly everything from head to toe. I imagine good things for my body, and I thank my body for functioning the way it does. Then I do some, breathing and some stretching, some yoga. I write affirmations for my day, and I'm, visualizing how it's going to be. Then funny enough, I go and cook because I eat warm in the afternoon. And I have a thermos and I put my warm meal there and for my son as well and husband. So, and then I go and shower.
Wow.
That's how it goes. And during work, I like to pause, look outside, and I try to look for the wonders of life.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yes, to see a child smiling or, to see how crazy my cats are at home. I enjoy being with my clients, just the fact that I can help someone with anything, if it's a health complaint or some emotional situation, whatever, or just help anyone or an old lady to cross the street, that makes my day.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit how my day goes.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. And I'm super excited you're going to be teaching at the school. And you work as an Ayurvedic practitioner. So tell us a little bit before we talk about your practice and your work with clients. How did Ayurveda come on your path?
Ayurveda came into my path at a really difficult time. First of all, I gave birth to my son, and
Mm.
that was a very problematic birth. And uh, I wasn't able to walk, and I had very bad postnatal depression. So, and doctor said that it was going to be very difficult for me to walk again, and that I was, they had to take medication for my depression.
Just
So,
wait, there's some background, huh? There's some
yeah, there's some
background.
background noises. 1 second, please. Maybe it's better if I. So, as I was saying, I had a postnatal depression and I couldn't walk. And I got, bad news from the doctors. So I tried everything to get better because, I had a little one with me and I had to take care of him and I had to take care of myself. And then a friend of mine told me about Ayurveda. But at that time, I was a different person. I was, I didn't believe, I was like, oh, I don't believe in that stuff. And I don't know if it's going to be able to work. I thought it
Mhm.
was like some woo-woo thing. And
Really?
yeah. But my friend said, just try it. Just try it. Just experience it. So I was desperate. So I said, whatever. If you think it's going to help, I'm just going to do it. So I did. So I started with Ayurveda. I changed my diet. I changed basically everything little by little, the
Mm.
lifestyle. I started learning about it. I followed all the, the I wouldn't say rules, but things that were really logic to me, like your food is your medicine, how you breathe, the way you eat, when you eat, how you eat, the herbal medicine and the treatments. And of course, that part of the mind, that's when yoga also started to enter in my life and
Mm.
doing the exercises. And after like a month, I started noticing, oh, I'm feeling better.
And was this
And
like you were doing it yourself, or were you counseled as well in that, or did you
I
just
was I was doing it first by myself, but I was also counseled by someone. Uh, the counseling of that doctor was more on herbal medicine.
okay, not
So,
so much
and
on the lifestyle and the
well,
other
a
parts?
little bit, but I am the kind of person that needs to know everything. So when
Mm.
someone tells me, "Oh, why don't you do this or that?" then I want to know why I have to do it and how it's going to work. So that's when I would get like an advice, I would go and find out, do some research. Why does this work? So, and not only that, I needed to feel that it was working, and I
Mm.
did, and I did. Since I like results, and I saw the result in my body, I felt more energy. I could sleep better, and of course, I started walking. And
Mm.
then I told my husband, "This is so amazing. When I start walking, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to study Ayurveda because I want every single woman to know does this exist in order to go back and have balance in your life." So I was thinking it doesn't matter if you just gave birth because there's a specific treatment for and lifestyle for women that just got a baby. There's a 40-day Ayurvedic care that is
Yeah,
really amazing that
it is.
if I would have known that before, I would have totally go
Love
for
to
it.
have it, right?
Love to have it. Love to have it because it's impossible. I was thinking it's impossible to get depression with a 40-day care Ayurvedic care postpartum. It's just
Yeah,
impossible.
yeah.
So, and then I started to find out, oh, you can regulate your hormones. Oh, you can basically treat everything and anything, and you can prevent. So I found my calling and I dropped everything else and I told my husband, this is it. I found uh, my path. This is what I was born to do. And even if I have to study, basic medicine, learn Sanskrit, learn Hindi, I don't care. I'm going to do this. Doesn't matter how old I am. So I knew at that point this was it. And I saw also that all the things that I lived and that happened to me had a reason
Mm,
in order for me to get to this path.
yeah,
So
beautiful. And Veronica, for the listeners and for the aspiring students, can you tell a little bit more about your background, where you're from? Because you're not originally from the Netherlands, right?
no, that's correct. I come from Peru. I was born in Lima and I was raised in Arequipa, that's in the south
Hmm.
of Peru. And quite conservative family. My mom did work with herbs, so I grew up using herbs for everything. So if I got
Mm,
a cold, I used the herbs for everything. She was like a little witch doing these brews. She made teas and all those things. But when you're a kid, you don't really appreciate that. You're like, oh, mom, blah blah blah.
mm,
But now I realize the wisdom she had and somewhere that she has been a great influence in that way because we
beautiful.
always ate healthy. Um, she became really, really old before she died. She was 95. So yeah, so
Yes.
yeah, because she really took care of herself.
Mm. And
She'll,
how did this conservative upbringing change with Ayurveda and yoga? How did that change you and the way you viewed your upbringing? And did that have a lot of influence, like the way you saw your youth, your upbringing, your exposure to everything, right? Knowing that Ayurveda is really like all about how do we take care of our senses, how do we balance our senses? And when we grow up as a child, we just don't realize the effect of our environment, right?
Correct, correct. Well, as children, definitely when you become a teenager, you start rebelling against your parents, against authority, just say
Mm,
no to everything. And of course, I did the same. I believe that with Ayurveda, in my whole healing path, there is an understanding why you go into a family where you're born and raised. And of course, this also comes with age. You start understand and being a mother, you start understanding why parents do the things they do.
mm,
And I believe that every parent does his best, her best with the knowledge that we have. Um, Probably, yes. Because of my family being conservative, I wasn't into Ayurveda or anything like that uh, before my son's birth.
mm,
So it was a blessing getting all those health problems and seeing that nothing else worked. And then Ayurveda came into my path and I saw that it worked.
mm,
That's when the change started because before I was also following probably the same path as my parents, as my family, and not anymore. But I do cherish and honor their upbringing because it led me where I am now.
yeah,
So being strict has also made me, I like to study. I have discipline, so that's a good thing.
right, yeah.
So everything is good.
Yeah. And how long has it been now? So you studied Ayurvedic medicine. How long ago did you finish and start seeing your patients and clients?
I finished. Well, actually, I'm never finished.
Oh, you didn't.
No, no, I did. I did get my
Oh,
diploma, but
yes.
Ayurveda is a school of life.
Oh, you
So
mean in that sense. So you keep studying.
you keep studying with every client that comes. You keep on learning. It's just about yourself. So it's Ayurveda is I think it takes many lives in order
Yes.
to like totally understand it and live it. But when I got my diploma, that was in 1918, and I started practicing in I'm sorry, 2019.
Yes.
2018, I graduated. 2019, I started practicing.
Wow. And
And
let me ask you, what would you, if you look back now, what would you like to give as a message to aspiring students? that when they finish, like what you didn't know back then, what you would like to know them now upfront to encourage them and to give them a message of encouragement, like when they finish, because it's exactly that, right? You keep studying, but what would you have loved to know or to have mastered or have been exposed to when you finished?
Mm. When I finished, I was a different human being. Like life, I couldn't see life this in the same way that I did 4 years before. Um, that's to begin with. I cannot really explain how that is. I felt empowered. I know that if I have something, I know how to take care of it. I know how to get in balance. And that's extremely empowering because, I know how my body works. I listen to my body and I know what to do to go back into balance.
Mm,
And I can help others do the same. My son, the people that surround me, and of course my clients. So that's one thing. When I finished, that's how I felt extremely empowered.
mm,
I felt so good in that way to have this knowledge. So lucky, so blessed. And number two, what I would have liked to have is probably more guidance in how to um, how to deal with clients. So more practical training, like what we're doing in your school. That you, from the beginning on, you're already dealing with patients. That's the part that I missed.
mm,
Because yes, you do have practical training, but not at the in the extent that you are doing it. I
mm,
think that's amazing.
yeah.
And also that you focus also on self growth. So if you start with yourself, it is amazing to heal yourself, to know yourself, and then work with someone else.
Mm,
So that part, of course, I did on my own, but I would have liked to have more guidance in that way, like
mm,
work on myself, work on my issues, and which I finally did. But it's nicer if you can have that guidance, and that's what
mm,
you're offering. So that's what
mm.
inspired me to so much um, to join you and your team.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And besides Ayurveda, you are also a practitioner that combines EFT and so the tapping, emotional tapping, right? And other modalities that are blended in one. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And because I find it fascinating, and I'm only getting into it a little bit more now, learning about it. Tell us. Oh, just
Yes,
let
I
me just I'm just gonna let Abby in. Let me just pause here one moment.
yeah,
Yeah. So please, Veronica,
yes.
about this.
So yes, I have realized that everything is a whole, like our bodies and minds and souls. It's like an orchestra. Everything works together. So what we tend to forget a lot is the emotional part, the mental part that can give us a lot of stress and even makes us sick. So I was experiencing not only with myself, but also with my clients, people with anxiety, for instance. And the anxiety would go back, sometimes even if we would try herbs or anything like that. So I was wondering, what is the cause of this? And what is the cause of, because I had also my own anxieties and PTSD. I didn't know I had it, but after going into different therapies and I got diagnosed that. But they told me, yeah, you just have to live with it. You have to, or do breathing, or do this, or do that. But I'm the kind of person that doesn't settle for I have to live with it. I want to know the cause and I want to know the cure.
Mhm.
So I started to do research, how the brain works, why do we get certain reactions, what's happening in our brain. And that's when I discovered the eutaptics faster EFT. And that's a system, a modality that works with indeed EFT, um, and not only EFT, but also a little bit of hypnotherapy. And, use it tapping points and visualization. And the main thing of this system is that we believe that no one is broken, that we're just doing what we're programmed to. So all our behaviors, our fears, they're learned things, they're learned from childhood, from all the experiences we have
Mm.
acquired. So I thought that was amazing. And I heard very good results from other people. But I was like, I don't know. It sounds too good to be true. But I wasn't doing that well, so I decided also to give it a try, to test it if it was that good, and it was. So it goes. You treat a lot of the things that happen in childhood, and you work actually with memories and relationships. And of course, the first relationships we have in life are our parents. So, like we say in Faster EFT, we clean that up. So we clean the pains, we clean the hurts, and we see it in another way. And when you clear that up, you feel a lot of forgiveness, understanding for your parents. And you give that inner child a lot of love and
Mm.
attention and everything that it needed. So what happens if you change the way you perceived how things happen to you, then you change the here and now because we keep on repeating the same patterns based on what we have learned in the past. So if we change the patterns of the past, then we don't need to repeat them anymore. So the
Right.
fears, the hurts, they're not real anymore. And that gives a lot of rest to the nervous system. So when I realized that and experienced it, I thought, oh my goodness, I have to learn this as well and make it a mix with Ayurveda. I think this is a match made in heaven. And it is. So that's what my work is based on, both.
Beautiful. Yes. And
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful because all these modern like EFT, there's, that what the yogis knew thousands of years ago and the ancient doctors, it's actually coming back through these modalities, right?
Exactly. They come back with another name.
Yes, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. So it doesn't ultimately it's the modality, but it's about the results really, right? Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
beautiful. Oh,
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing. And I'm super excited that you're going to be teaching at the school and also being able to offer that other perspective or the modern perspective blended with the ancient knowledge. It's beautiful. Yeah.
It
So
is indeed.
oh, that's great. So in the meantime, Abby joined. And so thank you so much for being here, Abby. I would love to hear about so that the aspiring students, I'm going to be offering this recording to aspiring students. They get to know you and Veronica. Besides the two of you, also Pamela will be teaching. We'll get to know very soon, and Savitri. But Abby, please, I would love for you to share with us how Ayurveda came on your path and a little bit more about your background.
Sure, absolutely. Really wonderful to hear your background, Veronica, and where you came from and how, again, how Ayurveda found you. So it's great to hear that part of it.
Mm.
Um,
Thank you so much.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I find Ayurveda to be the voice of our intuition, right? So we know Ayurveda as this science of life, and that's a really big concept, right? But all of these concepts is everything that we already knew inside. And so for me, I had to go through a healing journey to kind of find that path and find that voice again. And when you start to learn Ayurveda, there's all these like, aha, I knew that. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
Mm.
And so that's what gets me really inspired as when I was a student and now as a teacher, really feeling that inside. How Ayurveda found me was I was living in New York City and I had a whole different profession. And I kept getting ill over and over again, and I wasn't listening to that voice inside. And so I was like, okay, I think it's the city. I need to leave the city. I've been here for almost a decade. I need to go. And so I leave and I go down to Mexico and I have some family that lives there, and I found a teacher there who was also teaching polarity therapy. And polarity therapy is based on astrology with Ayurveda and Hermetism. And so it was my very first introduction to Ayurveda and to understanding, the concepts of marma and all of that. And I got really intrigued, but I wasn't fully embodying the Ayurveda. And then I was invited to go and work at this Buddhist retreat in upstate New York. And I had done that. But I was still, when I went there, I still kept getting ill and I still kept getting ill, all to the point to where I had to go into the hospital. And they had diagnosed me with many different things, from lupus to MS, and they started me on all these drugs. I also had meningitis, and they had to quarantine me, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. It took them about 2 weeks to figure out that it was chronic Lyme's disease. But by then it went neurological, it went to my heart, and went to my reproductive system. And I couldn't walk. I had a speech impediment. There were just many things going on. And so because of this, I had to move back home, sell everything, and start all over in my 30s. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And at the time, because I couldn't walk, I had to lay in a bed, and I couldn't be in lights. I couldn't be in natural light or overhead light. And so I could only listen to things. And at that time, there really wasn't audiobooks as there is now. There wasn't podcasts. There weren't those things. And so a friend of mine gave me a recording of Ayurveda. And it was just like simple things, how to build this concept of ojas, right? At this time, I was taking all Western medications, and I had to stop that because it was giving me organ failure. So I went Eastern, but then Eastern medicine wasn't really helping me either. And I was like, what is happening? And so in this recording, it was having me do what's called dinacharya, these very simple cleansing practices, like if you've heard of tongue scraping or abhyanga, oil application, all these things. And I slowly started to implement these and implement a certain diet that I needed, that I was learning about. And that was the biggest aha, because about after 3 months of practicing these dinacharyas and changing my diet, my whole system came back on. And then any type of Eastern medicine that I was taking would start to work. And it just gave me this real visceral experience that it's not that my body is going towards disease, it's always going towards health. And if I can support that and turn the body on, then I'm the one who's healing, not all these extra supports that I'm having. The extra supports are there just to help me maintain and go forward, but it's really, I have to turn that system on. And it was that concept of ojas, which is our vigor, our vitality. It's our immune system, but the immune system of the mind and the body. And so that was my biggest moment. And when I had that, then I was like, I need to study it. That was it. Like, this is it, And it took me about 3 more years to fully recover. And so during that time, I was studying just on my own, taking workshops, things like that. And then I was like, I want to be full-time. So I went to the California College of Ayurveda. And I'm just one of those people that, like, when I start digesting information, you'll understand this is very pitta.
Very similar.
That I just wanted more and more and more. And so I went through all of their programs. I became a Panchakarma specialist, where I ran their Panchakarma spa for about 1.5 years. And then I was their lead therapist for another 4 years. And then I became a doctor of Ayurveda. And then I went to India and studied there. and worked in a hospital in India just to have gain that experience, and came back, and then I became a teacher at the college. And so from there, then I started teaching the first level, and that was in person. And then I became a master teacher where it takes one student at a time, and I bring them from the very beginning all the way up to wherever they want to progress, even to the Doctor of Ayurveda program. And so I really found that a calling of mine is teaching because of that moment I had with that aha, knowing that I can really heal from the inside out and seeing that in other people. And so whether the students are going to be taking this for themselves or for their families, or they're going to be taking this to become a practitioner, or they're going to be becoming a doctor of Ayurveda, wherever they're going to be, they're going to have those moments. And it's a blessing to be a part of that journey.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
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 So similar as to what you experienced, Veronica, with how the dinacharya, those little steps, how that turned your body on and how it really made the environment in such a way that it could heal, right? Veronica had very
Correct.
similar, that she was diagnosed that she wouldn't be able to walk again, and all this is just wow, amazing. Both of your stories.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was told I could never have a child or carry a child, and I am now 7.5 months pregnant.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
thank you.
Wonderful.
Isn't it
Thank
amazing?
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's just all by, that intuition that that this is the voice of your own health. And so
Right. Yeah.
um very cool. I'm glad that you've had those experiences too. I mean, that's what draws everybody to Ayurveda,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. And for those people that are watching this recording, I would love to just tell a little bit about my story, and then talk about the program that's going to start in April. That's the time that you'll be finished with your maternity leave, right, Abby?
Yes, I'll be
And you'll
done
be
in April.
back in teaching, and I'm super excited for you with this beautiful pregnancy. You have how much more
Okay.
time to go? Like two
2 months,
two
just
months,
about
yeah.
2 months.
Now, like you
Yeah.
see like this, you don't see it, but there's this beautiful belly there.
Yeah, there's a big belly.
Yeah. Yeah, so my story very similar. I think that's what happens to a lot of people. Just to cut it short, I was sick. I was really sick. I hadn't listened to my body. And it started at a very young age. I had major endometriosis, like starting from the age of 19, 20, like a lot of pain. And you know what the gynecologist, at least more in the West and here in the Netherlands, said, just continue taking the pill. And, that way you don't have the pains. What did I know back then, right? That that wasn't going to help. And that lasted for many years until about that age that I wanted to get pregnant. I had just turned 30 and I always knew I wanted to have children. And then I just couldn't get pregnant. And so at the time I was living in Switzerland, and I was formally diagnosed with the endometriosis when they did a laparoscopic surgery to check. And on top of that, I had PCOS. So funny enough, that always happens. A lot of my clients, patients now have either, those health issues, women's health issues, or trying to get pregnant. And then once I got surgery, I had to have major surgery, and I had not found Ayurveda yet. I was just into yoga. I had a yoga studio. I was doing my teacher training. And it was through yoga that I started being exposed to the knowledge of Ayurveda through workshops, through diet. So it was only just there, like in the background. I was like, oh, interesting. And in 2015, when I just had the surgery, I think it was a year after, then I got Graves' disease. I had missed all the symptoms, and often that happens, when before disease manifests to full-blown disease, we get all these symptoms before. I didn't know. I wasn't sleeping well. very restless. And then I started feeling anxiety. I had never experienced anxiety before. And that was all because of the thyroid. Until it got so bad, I just couldn't function. I was just shaking. I lost weight within a week, a lot of weight, and my thyroid was just working so quickly. And this was just so huge for me because it impacted my health to such a big extent. My heart, I had huge heart palpitations. And they said because of the Graves' disease, I had to be on medication for life. And I didn't want to accept that. So that's where I started saying, okay, I have to do something about this. What's the cause? And, looking back now, I can say that I was living a very vata aggravating lifestyle. And I was just continuing, trying to conceive, and I couldn't. And I was just continuing without taking time back and grieve and do the grief work that was necessary, right? But luckily, I already had yoga. I started doing intensive meditation, and all this started bit by bit helping my condition. And I decided to quit my medication myself. And then Ayurveda, I started studying Ayurveda because I thought I have to do something about this. So it's that combination, because it's never one thing. It's the meditation, it's the yoga, it's the nutrition, and then how beautiful that Ayurveda has all that, right? And with its sister science yoga, it was my path. And so just like Abbey, I studied at California College of Ayurveda, and that's where I met Abbey as one of my mentors, which I'm very grateful for that. Abbey was a beautiful teaching, and I've loved teaching since I was teaching yoga, and it was one of my wishes. I would love to really prepare the future Ayurvedic healers in such a way of how can we blend like the modern science with the ancient science in a way that it has helped me, and how can we prepare those healers just to evolve with how everything's changing at this time. People are looking so much more for that connection. We've always asked that question, but it seems like so many more people are awakening right now, right? Like, why am I here? What's my purpose? What's my contribution? What is also all this grief work that I have? And yeah, that's really inspired me to start this here in Europe. And so the program that we're going to be offering here that starts in April is really, I think, with all the teachers also teaching in the Dutch program, they all have this love and passion for sharing because they've gone through that healing themselves. They embody Ayurveda and or yoga, all of them. And for me, it's also important, besides the intellectual teaching, that it's also about that spiritual path. And so probably it's not going to be for everyone, this school, but we really want to emphasize that personal journey and how we can use yoga and the basics, the foundation of Vedic astrology, and both the tantric side of it, the tantra yoga, which is also about embodying and about embracing both sides, right? We have that shadow side too, and not to ignore it. I mean, there's so much more about tantra, but a lot of people don't know tantra, much about the tantra. But one of the teachers is going to be teaching that embodiment and facilitating that embodiment part. So with that, we're going to be offering a level 1, which means preventative lifestyle and medicine with nutrition and holistic therapies. And then the level 2, which is the Ayurvedic practitioner program. And so for those that want to know more, we'll be offering a study guide that you can request. But it's going to be a total program for those that want to complete the full Ayurvedic practitioner program to also be able to treat disease. Is going to be about 3.5 years, which includes a foundation of Western medicine, because that is in the Netherlands a requirement, which I think is a must. I think all our Ayurvedic practitioners should have that foundation. So I think it's great that in the Netherlands that's regulated in such a way. And for the level 1, it's not a requirement. It's only when you start treating disease. So I think that's great. We're going to partner with Conamore. They're going to offer in-house Western medicine fundamentals, both in English and Dutch. And then that's amazing. They have a beautiful program, very much focused on complementary medicine. So they're doctors teaching, but have gone into how do you say it? Homeopathy or other complementary medicine. Yeah. So yeah, I think I want to honor also just your stories. I think each one of us have gone through some sort of path of healing and finding that balance again. And it's not only about preventing disease, sometimes about reducing suffering, because we do go through suffering. It's not
Yes.
something we can ignore, and which I kind of did. I kind of like didn't want to know about my pain. But how can we help, you know, um, our clients, and also prepare students to also counsel people that are going through pain? It's something that we also must go through, right?
Yes.
It's something that's part of our journeys. And I think with the basics of Vedic astrology, and Abby, you're also a Vedic astrologer, so
Mhm.
you'll be teaching the foundations for the English program. It's a beautiful way to understand our karma, to understand why are we here, right? What are our lessons? So yeah, I'm super excited and feel honored that we're going to embark on this journey here in Europe. Yeah.
Yes, it is amazing.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
so nice meeting you, Abby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too as
Yeah.
well. This is great.
Yeah. I'm just
Like
gonna
if
stop.
I could like think of a school that I would want to go to that encompassed Ayurveda, yoga, and tantra,
Ye-
that's
Amazing,
a
right?
gem.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will be signing up right now.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm just gonna stop here the recording, but thank you so much. Wait.